Once you've familiarized yourself with the scene file and you feel comfortable navigating, the next thing you're going to want to do is go to Arnold and run your first render. Now obviously the first render is going to be a big blank box because there are no lights in the scene yet and there is nothing for Arnold to see. In the render view, I want to set this to render through camera shape 1. And while again, that is going to give me a black box, now I will be able to see what the camera sees. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my render settings window, and over in Aovs, I am going to add Aovs for my direct and indirect lighting. This will not add significantly to your render times, and it will allow you to see a better breakdown of where the lights are coming from. So now I know it's still a big black square, but in my beauty pull down I have the ability to see direct and indirect. I will close the render settings for the moment. I will go back to them later. Now this big black square is already taking me 14 seconds, so at various points I will pause and allow renders to run, and I won't even talk to you during those times. I'll just be rendering. So be prepared for that. What I'd like to do at this point is just throw some kind of a big general light into the scene so that I can start to see my objects, and for that I will use an Arnold area light. I will pause the render here. I'm going to take my light, just move it up above the scene, rotate it down. I will rotate that to -90 degrees. And I'm going to scale it up a tiny bit just to make it easier to find and select. And just so I know what this is when I go back to it, I will also name this. This is going to be a fill light. I'll call that fill light 01 because I may need more than one of it. Back over to my attribute editor. Now I see all of the attributes for fill light 1. In my outliner, I will just drag that into the lighting folder so that I know where it is. And now I can start my render again. Immediately I see that big black square. That's because my exposure is too low. So I'm going to come into my exposure and I am going to type in a value of 20 just to see if that gives me any kind of result here in the render. You'll note that I'm not using the exposure slider. The exposure slider only goes up to 5. When I type in numbers, I can go far higher than 5, and generally that's what I'm going to want to do. Okay, so 20 got me nothing. Let's see what 40 does. And it looks like my render isn't actually running. I'm going to close the render view and start again. Oh, that's so much better. So much better is a relative term. Clearly this is not actually what I was hoping to see with this fill light, but at least now I know that my light is affecting the scene. And that's really good for all of you to see. I've probably mentioned that I'm working on an older computer. Sometimes it's going to have visual glitches. I'm sure that your computer will too. The important thing is not to panic. Sometimes the render view just gets tired and you need to close it and reopen it. Fine, not a problem. This exposure is so high that I'm actually getting an inversion of what I would hope to see, so let's pull that back down to 20. Okay, and now I can start to see that my light is hitting in the right places. It's way too bright. I'll take that down to an exposure of 10. And perfect. That is a fill light. So now that I have set my scene up and I've got just a little bit of fill information, this is a great place for me to stop. When I get back, I will start adding more lights so that I can create a very intentional lighting scheme. I will come back with that in just a moment.